Well, it's been a minute. Um, what's been going on in your lives? Because I have got one heck of a story. So, I've been, well, the last 3 months have been one heck of a roller coaster. We had to drive to Seattle for emergency medical attention and recover there for a month and then back. So, hang on to your seats. Um, so back in June, I started feeling sick about the end of June. I started slowing down. My brain wasn't functioning correctly. I was trying to write, and the words just didn't work properly, and so everything was just kind of slowing down. And I thought, well, maybe I have a flu or something. And then in July, my stomach started to grow. And I had been starting to exercise at that time. I'd been, we have Beat Sabers, so I was doing Beat Saber a lot. I was doing it for a half an hour to an hour a day for a month, and eating less and less because I was trying to get healthier. I was tired of having to lose my breath every time I walked up the stairs, so I decided I needed to change and was starting to get healthier. And it was frustrating because I was feeling worse, not better, and then my stomach started growing. So I went through the normal things of, well, I took a pregnancy test because I'm a woman. I checked, was I just constipated or what was going on? And nothing I did was fixing it. Normally when you try a few at-home remedies and either it works itself out or you fix it, or something you do fixes it, and the mass was just growing. So of course I went to a doctor. Here in Texas, since we're here for Greg's work, we didn't have medical insurance, so I had to pay for it out of pocket. And they did a few tests, and well, they said you're not pregnant, and you need a CT scan. So that wasn't good. The CT scan wasn't available for a week. And I still have insurance in Washington because we just came from there. So we decided it was time to go to Washington because I was really starting to get really sick by then. By the time we left, I could barely, there were days that I just couldn't get out of bed. My stomach had grown a few inches, and there was just this hard knot inside. And the only thing that the doctor here in Texas could tell me was, you have a mass on your ovary. Or, they didn't even tell me it was on my ovary. They just said I have a mass in my abdomen. They didn't say exactly where, because they did an ultrasound, and there was a mass in my stomach. They didn't tell me how big it was. They didn't tell me where it was. They just said, you have a mass. You need to get a CT scan and find a good doctor that will do all of this diagnosis for you. And so they said I couldn't get in for a CT scan for at least a week. So we decided to go to Seattle. It was the best choice, since CT scans and everything else that was going to come was probably going to be too expensive for us. So we needed to take advantage of our insurance. So we drove for 3 nights back to Seattle and stayed in a hotel for a week. And we still had to wait a week for the CT scan in Seattle too, because everything has been shut down for COVID. So it was crazy. The day I finally got in to see the gynecologist, she did another ultrasound, and she said, like several of the doctors said, why did you take so long to come see us? And the thing is, that scared the hell out of me. Like, okay, clearly this is very large and they're very concerned, and what the heck is it? How big is it? And it had grown so fast. It grew within a month, and I don't think there was a come in sooner because of how fast it was growing. But regardless, she rushed me to a CT scan across the street same day because they're so worried about it, and found out it was 14 inches across. It was a very large tumor growing on my ovary. And she did everything she could to get me into a surgeon as fast as possible. The surgeon, he's been working nonstop since they finally opened things up for after COVID, because because of the way things are going, a lot of surgeries and stuff were canceled because everybody was worried about the virus. So they were trying to catch up now that things are opening and they were allowing more surgeries. So he had to squeeze me in between another oncology patient and the end of his day. And he was exhausted by the time I got out of surgery because it took a while. But because of what it was, because it was a cystic mass, they couldn't risk breaking it. So they had to cut me open from 2 inches above my belly button all the way down to my nether regions, so they could pull the mass out all as one because it was so huge. And the other ovary was the size of a softball. So and at the time, by the time I had gone into surgery, the last week before the surgery, I couldn't stand for more than a couple of minutes at a time because the mass was sitting on my blood vessels and cutting off circulation and sitting on the massive nerve that runs down there. So I would get faint if I stood for more than a few minutes. And I couldn't even sit up. So I was basically laying on the couch for a week or in the bed. And it was like I wanted to do things. I felt so useless. And it's like, what do? You can't stand up because your body wants to collapse. But you feel like you've got to do something. So occasionally I would sit at the computer and be really uncomfortable and feeling the faintness, but I'm like, I'm gonna do something. So I did manage to finish a short story and publish it during this time because I just needed something to do. And so at least there was that. What else? Oh, and the eating. Eating was a challenge. I was down to less than 1,000 calories a day for a month. So I lost a lot of weight. I lost weight even though my stomach was growing huge. I was like, how do you do that? But I looked like I was 8 months pregnant. I had several people like whisper or whatever about pregnancy, and I wish it had been a pregnancy. That would have been easier. But so I got to the hospital for the surgery, and they put me in pre-op, wired me up, and I was laying there on the bed, and one of the nurses came in to take my blood pressure, and she's like, "Oh, are you pregnant?" It's like, no, I just have a tumor. And she's like, she just deer in headlights. And I she was waiting for me to say, you know, that I was joking or something, and like, no, I really had a tumor. So, yeah. But, went through surgery, everything was great, got back to the hospital room, and started recovery. Thankfully, all of everything was contained in the ovary, so they, as the doctor said, it was borderline cancer. Everything was contained in the ovary. There was nothing in any of the other parts that they took out. So hopefully I will never get it again. Or at least not that kind of cancer. If I get cancer, it would be something else, I'm sure. But I have to have blood marker tests every 6 months for the next 5 years, just to be sure. But you know, they're overly cautious, so we're just gonna hope that doesn't happen again, because it was scary. Because of how large the opening was, it did take quite a while to recover. So we were in Seattle for a month afterwards, staying at my in-laws. That was really nice of them. His mom's a good cook, so she made sure I got lots of food, and I was finally able to eat again. My stomach is still a lot smaller than it was before all of this happened, but I'm okay with that because I was a little chunky and I could stand to lose weight. And I actually lost 50 pounds between the starvation diet of a tumor pressing on your stomach and the removal of a 25 pounds of tumor. I lost 50 pounds, so that's a great weight loss alternative. No, don't do that. Don't get a tumor. But it's so that was the end of July. It's now September. That's the 14th. So it's been 8 weeks since the surgery, and I can't say I'm 100% better. I do have stitches inside of me that they take 6 months to dissolve, so I can't do like wild gyrations and stuff, but I have been able to get up and do Beat Saber again and some dancing, and I can, walk up and down the stairs with a basket of laundry and things normal things. I am working, now I'm trying to build up my lungs again because I already have terrible lungs because of asthma and allergies, so this didn't help. And a lot of what I'm doing currently is to build up endurance again so that I can do like long sessions of Beat Saber, because I can't right now. It's just, I did it for about 10 minutes the other day and was exhausted. So it'll take some time, but I'll get there. While in recovery at my in-laws' house, I finished the first draft of my next novel that I'm coming out with. It's the sequel to the Dragon Flame. So Dragon Flame is the first one. Dragon's Blood is the second one, which will be out next month. I'm hoping, because I'm right now just going through and editing it and cleaning up parts that are repeat parts and stuff, because this one was a tough one to write. Getting sick in the middle didn't help, but also just ended up changing a whole lot of the plot several times in order to work, and so I have to go through and make sure everything lines up and makes sense. Well, I've been putting this off. I wanted to be better before I did it. I didn't know what to say. Everything's really weird out there right now. Anyway, my pens are falling over. But, you know, I was frustrated through this whole thing, mainly because I was in Seattle and I was sick and I thought I was dying. And I just wanted to go see my friends and my family. And I was very limited on who I could see. Because everybody's afraid of the virus. And I get it, you know. Some people are more susceptible to it than others, and some people should worry. But it just made me start thinking, what's more important? What are we willing to give up for that security? You know, people die every day, car accidents and flu, and people die from the flu. You can't protect yourself from everything and forever. So you have to do, you know, what's right. You wear a mask when you go into public places, but what do you give up? What freedoms do you give up for that security? And how much is the right amount? And I don't know the answers. I don't know I can't make the decisions for everybody. I just have to make them for myself. And for me, when we were leaving Seattle, I went over to my kids' house and I gave them a great big huge hug and kiss on the cheek, and I just sat with them for a while because I miss them and I love them and I wanted so badly to tell them, to touch them. And I know other people are like refusing to hold hands or to hug, and I couldn't do it. I almost died. I thought I was going to die. I wrote letters to my kids and told them how much I loved them because I thought I was going to die. And I couldn't have left Seattle without holding them. You know, we all have to make our own choices on what we do, on where we are with this thing, but I miss my friends. I miss everybody. Love y'all. I'm gonna go. Have a good day. Bye.